Hi, I'm John,
And I'm Eric.
and we are proud affiliates of the You Run Podcast Network.
Head on over to yourunpodcast.com to check out all of our content, all of our affiliates' content, and so much more.
See y'all there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another riveting edition of Under the Floorboards, where we laugh with the creatures that go bump in the night. I'm your host, John, joined as always by my beautiful co-host, Eric. How are you this week?
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, welcome to the new year, everybody.
Goddamn.
New year, new me.
Now it's going to be the same me.
Yeah, this is just like the version of me that's drinking less Taka.
Yeah.
As we definitely learned this week.
Yeah.
But no better way to kick off the new year than doing one of the things that we do best, and that's pre-screeners.
Yeah.
So welcome to it, guys. So coming out January 10th through February 15th, it'll actually be in theaters in the UK for all of our European listeners. In it. And it will be available for digital and hard copy as well by that point. So the long anticipated sequel, Street Trash, to the original cult classic will be available.
Yeah, dude.
This movie is so fucking fun. This movie was such a blast to watch. Do you want to start off on this one?
Yeah, this kind of ticked a lot of boxes for me. It's got a little bit of Team America in there.
Yeah.
It's got a little Scott Pilgrim in there. It's got like every movie that I like that kind of does, like, it's an action movie, but it's also a comedy. It's a horror movie, but it's also a comedy. This movie reminds me of all of those movies.
Definitely a little like Shaun of the Dead
Yeah, 100%.
style comedy thrown in there.
100%. Yep. I love the use of practical effects. I loved the writing. Some of the jokes are just so fucking insane that I genuinely want to talk to the people who wrote this and just pick their brain for the knowledge that they possess, because it's so fucking funny to me. I don't know. Shit like this comes around every once in a while, and you know you've really got something, kind of a lightning in a bottle sort of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when people see it, a lot of these names, a lot of these people, a lot of the people that worked on this movie are going to start getting a little bit more attention than they have been getting. So,
and maybe they already are. We're not across the pond.
Turns out, as Americans, we know very little about the outside world. This dude's probably like the Scorsese of fucking.
Never heard of him.
Right.
What movie?
Right. What do you mean he's going to get more famous? He can't be more famous. No, but it's great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. This is like a film where what really brought me in is the opening scene, because it really shows where the practical effects are going to be for this entire film, which also notably the movie was shot on 35 millimeters. So you still get that whole like 80s style aesthetic.
Yeah.
And there was so much color, whether it be the lighting, and the use of lighting in this was really brilliant. From the bile and vomit that are just falling out of these people's bodies
that were like Nickelodeon cat color. Like,
I was ready for them to like it hit the ground and it turned out to just be putty, and then they start like fusing the colors together and making braids and shit.
yeah.
But for those of you who are not familiar with the storyline for this, and you can look this up on IMDb, but in the year 2050, global economic turmoil has destroyed the middle class in Cape Town, South Africa, which is now divided between the ultra rich and the displaced. That's a really fancy way of saying homeless.
Yeah. The displaced.
The displaced.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ronald and a group of his fellow houseless they really went for it on that one.
His fellow discards.
Ronald and a group of fellow houseless friends uncover a plot by the government to, quote, wash away the houseless population with a sinister chemical agent called V. That sounds a little familiar.
Yeah.
Now they must risk everything to expose the truth and resist a society that's determined to erase them.
Yeah, when you really think about it as a commentary on just the general attitude to the homeless in the world, and It's not. I think shit like this is funny because there is that vibe though. Like there are people on the internet that like unironically are like, you want to solve the homeless problem? Just kill them all. Like they genuinely like consider that a solution.
Welcome to Reddit. And Threads, dude.
Yeah.
Threads is fucking
Yeah.
wild.
Because you can already say whatever the fuck you want to say on Instagram.
Unless you're us.
Yeah.
This is a film that like I don't think could come at a better time with so they're like one of their log lines for this is melt the rich.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying which side we're on with this with the current events, but I think anyone that listens to us, it's pretty fucking obvious.
If anybody needs a hint, we have a podcast. So if that answers that question for you.
I can't wait till we're so famous that people actually like go back and listen to other shit that we said to try and cancel us.
Yeah, right. If y'all hang out with us in person for like 45 minutes,
You already know.
you already know. No, I agree. And that's what the role of comedy is, if not to comment on social shit that's going on.
To commentate, if you will.
To commentate on social shit and bring a little bit of lightheartedness to some very real issues. And the guys that made this probably aren't even taking it nearly as seriously as I'm trying to.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's part of the charm of it is it's very tongue in cheek. It's very lighthearted. You know, the stakes are what they are. But like you said, Shaun of the Dead vibes all the way through. You know what it is. Let's just have a good time.
So let's get a little bit into this cast and crew real quick. So the top cast we have written and directed by Ryan Kruger. And then our cast, Ronald, who I will call our lead displacer.
Head homeless.
the head homo. Yeah. Sean Cameron Michael as Ronald. Donna Cormac Thompson as Alex, and I definitely thought that they were saying Alice through most of this movie because they're fucking English. Joe Vaz as Chef, Lloyd Martinez Newkirk as Wars, Shirai Meyer as Pap, Gary Green as Two-Bit, Warwick Greer as Mayor Mostert. And I definitely thought they were saying mustard the entire time. Again, I can't fucking understand English people, but
I thought they were saying Pater Noster.
Yeah. He goes, there it is. So this is actually kind of cool. I didn't realize this. So the Sockle is actually voiced by Ryan Kruger.
Oh, awesome.
So I believe it was Wars who plays in the main, I guess the core 5 it was, or core 6.
Okay.
But I believe it was Wars was the one that was seeing Sockle, which is like this schizophrenic fever dream that's really into fucking and doing cocaine.
Yeah. Is incidentally the best character in my opinion. My favorite character anyway.
He wrote himself as the best character where he didn't have to act.
That's called fucking carrying a movie. I'll do it myself.
So we kind of like we get this really good feel in the very beginning and actually one thing that I noticed comparatively about this is like in the more serious moments I almost got some like Daybreakers vibes from it a handful of times, which was kind of cool. Because it's just about the ruling class, as it were.
Sure.
And it's cool. So this movie was actually filmed in Cape Town, South Africa, which is actually where the film takes place. And I already thought, what do you call it when you have a white mayor in South Africa? Gentrification.
Queen's Commonwealth or something. I don't really.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah. Did they ever figure out that whole apartheid thing?
I don't know, dog. I'm trying to live off that res money.
Right. Yeah. How's that going?
Not great. I was born in the wrong tribe. We're not quite as rich as I would hope.
Good news is you were born in the United States. Awesome. Here's the bad news.
so we kind of are like, I think what I really enjoyed about this movie was the cinematography is so like tongue in cheek the whole
Yeah.
time, and it's
It's
so
very
like,
playful.
and they have like this really interesting character. So there's one more homeless
Yeah,
guy,
Offsy.
Offsea,
Yeah.
yeah, which is because he's off screen the
Yeah,
entire
yeah,
time, and it's so funny because like the first time you see it, you think that like the characters are just breaking the fourth wall.
yeah.
And then you see like an arm come out from in front of the camera, and that's like how he shows his emotions. He's like shaking his fist or giving a thumbs up or dapping you up or some
Right.
shit like that. Um, yeah, that one was really good. But it was really creative cinematography. I felt like we were moving with things a lot. Nothing really ever felt stagnant. Which is like one of my biggest things with really any film. It's why I don't like Egger films. But it's okay. We can still go see Nosferatu.
Already have.
Oh right.
Yeah.
It's me. Coming from all the way across the pond, VHS Tasties is protecting the sanctity of film one VHS tape at a time.
Check out their YouTube channel for interactive collecting, film reviews, interviews, and so much more.
You can find Video Tasties on YouTube and yourunpodcast.com.
The key with movies like this, when you have an opening sequence like you were talking about, is you have to have an even stronger following sequence and then continue to build on that with the jokes and the pacing and the character and the story and everything. And this movie does a really good job of not letting up. You have a couple of breaks in tension, or we got to talk about something serious because we have to develop characters, I guess. you know, and you're right.
Lame.
Yeah. And it's, all that's great. But where this movie really stood out for me is just how um, relentless it is with the entertainment factor.
Mhm.
It just sort of flirts with horror in kind of a body horror way, and just what we can do with special effects and practical effects and things like that. But it's just a ride. It's kind of probably what the Borderlands movie should have been, you know, because there's a lot of moments in this remind me that would have been a joke if the dude who wrote Borderlands 2 had written that.
Right.
So anyway,
No, and I think part of it too, and I was just sitting there thinking about it, like it really gives me, what it really reminds me of is Planet Terror
yeah,
to a degree, like
yeah,
the body horror aspect of it, because like there's like balloons coming out of people,
mhm,
and like it's like they said, melt the rich.
mhm,
The neurotox, or I don't think it's a neurotoxin, but whatever the fucking agent is that they are using, literally just melts you from the inside
right,
out.
right. And also now that alien's fucking that girl's face. Like,
And doing coke out of her
yeah,
butt.
right. Like,
And like so much of the dialogue in this is so funny because when you meet Wars for the first time, he's what you expect for like the homeless dude that you would not like you would cross the street. Like very long, stringy witch like hair,
mhm.
bald on top, doesn't wear a shirt, and like he goes, "That's Wars. He's got beautiful eyes." And he like comes up and he's just bing. This movie was excessively self-aware.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
and this is why I'm like, I hate when people are like, "Oh, you just don't get British humor." It's like, no, this was
Yeah,
hilarious.
yeah, right.
Is Monty Python funny? Not to me.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. Some people love cringe humor, though. I think is what it really comes down to.
Well, and yeah, I'm not going to go on my diatribe about Monty Python, but I have an opinion about it that I think is similar to yours. I just think Monty Python, I'll summarize it. I think Monty Python is unfortunately dated,
Oh, excessively.
and that's why it gets a lot of the hatred that it gets, or I don't well, it's 50 fucking years old or something, that's why. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's still funny movies that came out in the 70s, but like you've heard all these jokes already. You've
Mhm.
seen them all on t-shirts. Because the fandom is what the fandom is, but
Yeah, everybody in Boy Scouts was hyping up Monty Python
right.
so
And
hard, and it's the only thing they were allowed to watch.
and it's
So I had already seen Bigger and Blacker by Chris Rock at this point.
exactly, exactly. And we were on the Chappelle, or we not on the Chappelle
Yeah,
show, but
yeah,
we were
yeah.
that's what we were watching in terms of comedy. So this just wasn't funny. But no, I always felt like it was just geared more towards the 10 to 13-year-old boy humor in an English
Oh, he
accent.
said swallow on a bridge.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You don't even know that
Yeah.
it's a bird yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
dumbass.
He changed his mind about what his favorite color was. Now he's dead. That's hysterical. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Yeah, I think I mean, Life of Brian was hard to watch,
Life of
but
Brian is objectively worse than Holy Grail is.
yeah, with Holy Grail, I was like I thought the Black Knight scene was cooler than it was good.
Yeah.
You know, does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, he's getting fucking mutilated.
Oh, look at that spurt.
But and that's the thing is like he's like, "'Tis but a flesh wound." I'm like, huh. And everybody else is like losing their shit in the
Yeah.
fucking all boys sleepover, right?
And yeah. But then you have movies like this that come along and it's like, yeah, see, this is what we mean when it's funny. It
Yeah.
just has to be funny.
Yeah, and the dialogue's very self-aware, which is what I always ask for, whether you're trying to be serious or not. And they really like leaned into a lot of the comedy aspect of this.
Did you ever see a movie called Kung Fury? That's another
Yes.
one. It reminds me of Kung Fury a little bit too.
Yeah, I think this is funnier
With
than
the
that,
with
but
but like the brand of absurdism.
yeah.
And now there's Thor is coming down, and we have to fight this dinosaur with the laser. And this guy gets his head kicked off, and he goes, "I could tell he was dead." You know, just that it's hysterical.
Yeah, I really liked the. I always go back to like the scene in Scary Movie 3 where I can never remember this comedian's name. It's I think it's Anthony Anderson.
Mhm.
Um he just he like takes a shovel and fucking kills one of the aliens from Signs with it. Just goes, "Oh my god. Without their heads, they're powerless." And he throws the shovel to somebody and cocks his shovel. And you just hear, I like shit like that's brilliant. And a lot of this film has that kind of slapstick comedy to it.
Mhm.
Because even like the deaths, like they're crazy and they're outlandish, but they're fun and they're pretty fucking funny
Yeah.
for the most part because they're so over the top. You know what I mean? Like there's one in particular where this happens a couple times, but when the character like loses his head and it just starts like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's like a fountain of different colors
Yeah.
from the shit changing in their body.
And little attention to detail. Like I think we may be talking about the same scene, but like a character, lots of characters, like you said, get decapitated, but they're trying to like resuscitate him. And when they're doing it, it's just continuing to spray out another spurt of whatever this liquid is. And it's little tiny things like that are what make movie funny to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outside of the jokes and the writing for sure. But
because I feel like we did a lot of pointing in this movie.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
oh my God, do you see that? And like that's what makes shit entertaining overall is like there has to be more than the center of the screen to me. It doesn't have to be every scene, but there does have to be more than what I'm supposed to be on the focal point of.
Exactly.
And that's something that I think that this movie did a bang up job of doing.
Because that's what you call replay value. That's how you can include Easter eggs. That's how you can reference other shit.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I haven't seen the original. I want to go back and then come back and see where the nods are.
I'd be really curious to watch it myself,
Yeah.
actually, because if it's even half as good as this,
Right.
it's a good movie. And one of the things that Eric and I were actually talking about earlier is God, this is such a fucking heavy hitter to start off the year with because like we're already planning next year's award show
Yeah.
and we're just like, fuck, man, because there's so many good movies coming out this year. And
And these are just the ones that we're fucking aware of.
which this one was not. Like
And
I got an email and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do a pre-screener for us?" I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah," you know. And I was like, "It'll probably, fall in the spectrum somewhere." I was like, "Oh my God, this is such a fucking banger."
I
I hate it. I hate it.
I will be buying the Blu-ray of this.
So yeah, this is one that's like, if you look at our award shows and you look at movies and you're like, I should check that out because it was on there. I'm telling you now, watch this fucking film. Yeah. It's going to be heavy competition for shit that's coming out this coming year.
For sure.
And it's fuck. I told Eric earlier the worst mistake we did was going international.
100%. Because it turns out everybody's sick.
Yeah.
We have too many friends and not enough money.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that we didn't really hit on for this,
Yeah,
honestly.
I would like to do a rewatch and another episode on this when we can talk about it
Yeah,
a little
absolutely.
bit more in depth.
Absolutely. And I will say, notably, we know we've talked about the comedy of this, but the last thing I do want to talk about is uh Donna Cormack Thompson, who plays Alex. And if you're watching this on YouTube, she's the one right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as silly as this movie gets at times, she has a really good amount of scenes in here where she plays a very serious character for
Yeah.
a minute, and those performances are pretty fucking notable.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, not necessarily taken out of the silliness of the film, but I was like, she really pulled my attention on that one, and that was really impressive.
Yeah. And also in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way where there's this like thing that happens in comedy movies where you have to have something really tragic happen to generate some sympathy for this character or what. And I think all that's funny in its own way too. So, but she pulled it off.
Yeah,
To
100%.
be comedic while being serious is very challenging.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, guys, again, it'll be out January 10th through February 14th in theaters in the UK. It will be available, I believe, at the same time. It'll be available for digital, so probably Amazon, Apple, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Um, in the same time period in the US. I don't think it's hitting US theaters, but this one is definitely worth your time. A lot of work went into this, and like we said, we're excited to watch the original now,
Yeah.
just to see what all of this stemmed from.
So thank you for making this entertaining enough that it's inspired us to go back and look at what your inspiration for this movie was.
Exactly. So hats off to Ryan Kruger, all the
Ryan
cast
Kruger
and crew.
fan.
Yeah, all the cast and crew. You did an incredible job on this project, and yeah, it's about time, isn't it?
In it.
Isn't it? Anything else you want to add, Eric?
No, it's fun.
All right. Well,
Solid movie.
thank you guys once again for joining us where it creaks, it cracks, and we laugh at the creatures that go back bump in the night.
It's his first episode this year.
Oh yeah, and actually, hold on. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you missed us. If you didn't, I don't fucking care.
Then how did you find us? Then why are you here?
But yeah, we've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. New pre-screeners, a bunch of interviews coming up. It's going to be one hell of a year in 2025. Hopefully we'll be on some sets as well coming up. So just stay tuned. And thanks again for joining us where it creaks and cracks and we laugh at the creatures that go on with the night. The end.